Hello there, I'm Jason Ball, and this is Life After News, and sometimes Life After News can be a drag. Yes, I am probably going to make drag queen jokes and puns throughout this entire episode. Today's guest, JD Cargill, used to be a TV news producer, and now he owns and operates Drag and Fly Tours in Palm Springs, which is where I happen to live, but he does it in drag as Anita Doll, and it's really an amazing tour. It's very well produced, everything you would expect from a drag queen and also from a TV news producer. Very organized, very put together. I conducted the interview while he was getting his makeup done and transformed from JD to Anita, so I think you'll get a kick out of that today too. Okay, so we are here with JD Cargill and transformation into Anita Doll. Welcome.
Hello. Hi, Jason.
Thanks for having us here.
Thank you for having me.
We're set up at, where are we?
Palm Springs Grip and Lighting Studio here in Cathedral City, California. A big shout out to Taylor, the owner, because why? We love supporting local business.
100%. And the crew is actually over there setting up, so there may be a little background noise, but that's okay. We'll get through this. But I just thought this would be a fun way to see the transformation from JD to Anita.
Thank you for doing it. I'm really excited to see it too, actually.
So the first question, let's start with JD. How did you were a news producer, an entertainment news producer. How did you get into that line of work?
Well, like so many of us queer kids, I thought television was going to make me whole. And so the only thing I cared about when I was young was getting really good grades so I could go to any school I wanted, so I could go to Hollywood and be a famous whatever. Because fame was what I was seeking. But that got me into entertainment news at KTLA, which is crazy that I actually started at KEYT in Santa Barbara. That was my very first job. I was an intern when I was 19. It was one of those competitive internships, and I was running a teleprompter at 4 a.m., going through the AP feeds back then. This is 97, 98, and we're still checking, the AP wires for our stories. And this terrible plane crash happened, and I was looking at the names of all these victims, and I was just crying. And I was like, this isn't for me. And so I actually got out of news, graduated still with a degree in communication from UCSB, and then went to Hollywood and tried my go at acting for a couple of years, but I just was no good at it. And I was too much on set, and I'm a producer. And so it wasn't good to be bossy coupled with no experience. So I really quickly learned that, and then I was watching some television show, oh my God, Jules Asner, Wild On. Do you remember that Wild On series? Oh God, you're the only one to remember that. I was sitting there drinking a Corona on my balcony on North Alta Vista. And I looked over my shoulder and wait a second, she's like a news reporter, but she doesn't have to cover bloody airplane crashes. What is she? Oh, she's an entertainment. I came from UCSB. We didn't have entertainment news as a beat out there. That's a very niche beat. It only exists in a few top markets. But it's what I wanted to do. And from that moment on, I decided I'm going to be the male Jules Asner. And I used my gay contacts to get my foot in the door at KTLA. And within a few months was filling in for this evening entertainment news producer and writing segments for this gorgeous entertainment news reporter. I got into news because I was trying to fill a hole, and I wasn't truly self-loving at that moment. I wasn't, I hadn't watched enough RuPaul yet. So what happens, flash forward to 4 years at KTLA, 2004, CNN happens. I am at CNN now from 2004 to 2014, where I start in this hybrid role as an entertainment producer who also is interviewing celebrities on camera for online, this new digital component. CNN.com Live. I was basically the primary celebrity interviewer for CNN networks.
I mean, that's fun, but it's kind of the same thing every day.
You know it. You know it. You know it better than most. It is something that seems like fun in your head, and then before you realize it, you're like, oh my God, I am just caught up in a machine of rote, trope, recycled statements. It's just, I was caught in the promotional machine. And so, but at least I had the credibility of doing stories about wounded soldiers that came back to have thriving stand-up careers on only one leg. And, I used to do those kinds of stories. And then by the time I was done, we had this new producer and this new president of CNN, and they totally pushed entertainment into the gossip world. And it was just too much for me. So in 2014, I left. And
So you knew early on you didn't want to do hard news or the kind of
Exactly. That's never been my goal.
that's too much. And then you transitioned to entertainment news, and that was fun for a while. But then it got to be too much. So then you went out and did your own thing. What was that transition like?
That was actually one of the more meaningful transitions. It's when I learned how much I identified with my job. In 2014, when I left CNN and I started Mid-Century Media, I went from working around dozens of the world's most interesting, most fascinating people every day to just me and one editor slash producer. And while he's a genius and I love him to this day, but it was a real shift in my career. But it was coupled with, I bought a home at this moment. I was Airbnb a guest house. I was making a ton of money doing it, which was crazy to me. At the time, it was early days. And so I just leaned into it and started drinking a lot, started to, I don't know, lose focus on what was really important to me. And it was a global pandemic. It took a global pandemic.
So were you in Palm Springs then or still in Los Angeles?
No, I'm still in LA at this moment.
Okay.
I now live in Pasadena, and it's 2014 to 2020 until that March. I was supposed to fly to New York to interview the cast of A Quiet Place 2. And they said, out of an abundance of caution, we're going to change the schedule. And that's the last time I ever did a celebrity interview. And I couldn't be happier. Although I did open a video podcast company in my basement in Pasadena to keep busy during the pandemic. That's when I fell in love with being queer. That's when I started doing drag. That's where it all came from, was my basement in Pasadena.
So what was the moment where you decided that you were going to do? I feel like there has to be like an epiphany road to Damascus moment that when you decide you're going to start doing drag.
You would think it would be like that. But it wasn't. It was more insidious.
A little
it was, do you know?
progression?
Okay, look. It is so vulnerable to let this part of myself out to the world. And yet it is the most liberating, most empowering thing. I will just tell you the truth, Jason. During the pandemic, like a lot of people, and I'm sorry for anybody who had major loss during that time, for me, I lost the old me. Like when Taylor Swift says, don't Taylor Swift, she's dead. I'm like, I understand that finally, like I'm just so comfortable in my skin these days. You can't do this and not be, especially when you come from Barstow, California, the little reddest red part of our blue state, and raised in deep in a Baptist church, like where you were just taught all this programming, all this baloney, all these terrible things. Like these are terrible things that people are teaching their kids. Like gay people, left-handed people, red-headed people, we're all here. We all take up about the same percentage of the population. And you're on the wrong side of history if you're working hard to get against those people.
That's true.
And I just wasn't using any of my talents for good. My life was always about me being something to impress people so that it somehow was going to fill the hole that was inside of me. But none of those things filled the hole. The drag filled the hole. And what's crazy too is I'm getting my makeup put on and some people think, oh, you're only a drag queen if you do your own makeup. I don't believe that. RuPaul does not do her own makeup. She's the best drag queen of all.
No one decides that for you.
Exactly.
So how did Anita Doll come about?
So Anita is my mom's name, Anita. And Anita is a very common name in drag, and I don't need to reinvent the wheel. And Anita Treadmill was already taken. I love that name. Anita Viagra was floated.
I always thought mine should be Anita Nap.
Anita Nap. Oh my God, that would be great. Need a long break. So my mom's name is Anita in real life, and she's my hero and my protector, and she would have been president. I just think about the kind of world that she could have been in if it was a woman's world, And so in a large part, I do drag as an homage to her and to women, and just because of my love of women. But the doll, for my ears, when I was writing out all the possible Anitas, Anita Doll sounded like I need it all. And once I had a big epiphany. I had a moment in my life where I was at the cross. I was at what you described, the bright light moment happened. And I was at the cross in the roads where I literally had to choose what I was going to do. Was this going to be it? Because with me, it has a lot to do with saying goodbye to the teachings of broken religion that I was raised in. Not that I've never said goodbye to faith, and I've never said goodbye to prayer and meditation and the things that bring me center. I understand the faith. I understand the need to have something to believe in life. I believe in drag now. I believe in this art form. And so I'm kind of on a mission now to share it with the world. And so, so ever since that bright light moment and do you want to know what it was?
Yes.
It was It's so personal, but it's just the truth. Um, I had never, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. I had never been alone with myself in a romantic way without some sense of shame, without something else happening at the same time. And I decided not to. I decided, what if I don't feel any shame? What if I just touch myself however I want in this moment and see what happens? I was 44 years old, and I had such an explosive moment with myself that I realized, oh my God, I have been living the wrong way. That's a true story. And ever since then, I'm like, oh, you're supposed to feel like this. Okay, hold everything. And I started to really look into things. And now when you're on the other side of it, God, it is so crazy that I believed those things. And now I see being queer as the luckiest thing in the world, because I see how hard it is to break from those hand-me-down beliefs when you don't have to. And so I'm very sensitive to this issue. Like, my way of doing drag, all of it is about being a bridge to the moderate. It's about bringing people together with this art form, helping people challenge their beliefs. Like, if you think some kind of way about a man in a dress, challenge that feeling. Like, that's the problem. It's not me. Like, there's nothing wrong with man in a dress. There's nothing wrong with a woman in pants. Like, if you're still feeling that way, allowing yourself to feel that way, those challenges, I call those hand-me-down beliefs. And they're understandable. They really are. But until you've challenged them, you don't know if they're yours or someone that gave them to you. Billions of people have been taught that someone can come back from the dead. And they believe it. I know. My mother's proof you can love God and love Jesus and love gays. And it all can coexist. But I'm on the other side of that now. You see, you can't say something's God's word and call me an abomination, because I am far too fabulous for that. All right?
That's right.
So that disproves the God's word thing. And that's the reason there's such a conflict between religion and gays. But I'm trying to bridge that gap, because I think you can have both. You can have faith in your life. You can have the religious teachings that bring you comfort and have your whole life. But you can also feel good about updating them. Like, we let go of shrimp and cotton. Can we let go of homophobia too? Come on.
It's true. What was the first time you went out in drag, or were in drag in public?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I'll tell you what I did. I did it without hips. I did it without any body padding. Oh, what was I thinking back then? Oh God, I love it. It was April Fool's Day 2021 that I consider Anita Doll's birthday, because that was the day that that was the day that my producer, I was running this video podcast in my basement now, and I've started a video podcast on YouTube called Gals, Gays, and Theys. And it's a deep exploration into all things queer. And I'm so proud. Like, we're setting the flags. I'm bringing in drag queens. This is how this all starts. And then as a lark, my makeup artist, so I was, I'm a princess. Like, I was even getting makeup done as a boy. She's like, why don't we put you in drag and play a little April Fool's Day joke on the engineer? And we did. And I'm talking like this the whole time she's doing her stuff. And I'm thinking I'm going to be like a Jennifer Coolidge when she turns the chair around, or some kind of, like, I don't know, middle-aged, but it's somewhat attractive woman. And I turned around, and the way she did my makeup with these wings and everything that we do now, first of all, I saw my mother, and I almost fell out of my chair. And then I saw how beautiful, I was like a Jennifer Lopez. Oh, what? Who is she? Who am I to say that? But it's the truth. And my Latin roots, I could see them more, because I could see my mother finally. Like, I've always seen a white boy in the mirror. And my friends and family have always said, like, no, you guys have the same bones, da-da-da, But,
Was that when Anita was born?
So that's when Anita was born.
What's the biggest difference between JD and Anita?
It's funny, I do separate them. Like, right now, I'm in this vulnerable state where I'm going from being JD into being transformed. Anita won't be here till the eyelashes get here. She's very feminine. The biggest difference is, these days, our closet.
They're what?
My closet. JD's closet's so boring compared to Anita's. And JD shares his closet with George, my partner, and we get the same amount of space for both of us. Well, actually, we get less space for both of us than she gets for one of hers. And Anita's, all the things that you hear on RuPaul's Drag Race are true. Just that show just hit me in just the right way at just the right time. And I needed to hear that message about self-love. I needed to hear these girls talking about trauma. I needed to hear about institutional trauma, something that I spent 4 decades on this planet totally ignoring the role that it played in my life. And once all that came together, it actually hasn't been hard at all. I shifted into something called what I could only call a state of flow.
Mm-hmm.
And in my life, in the last, now I'd say 18 months or so, I have been I say this every day, be the river, not the rock. You know, I used to have a lot of fear around it because anytime you do something different, it's scary. But now I'm so far into it that, you know, I'm more concerned about whether my tights are fitting just right than whether somebody out there thinks what I'm doing is unacceptable. I mean, that's just silly. Like at this point now, I'm sorry, love. Just in case anybody's listening to this and not watching the video version, I am getting my makeup on right now by the gorgeous Sandra, thank you. And I am being the world's worst, I'm too animated a speaker, and so I'm jumping around too much. But so every now and then.
Well, Sandra's doing a great job, despite your fidgetiness. But I suspect you probably talk on a regular day, right, Sandra?
She is. By the way, you asked me about the difference between a JD and Anita, and you know, the drag is a superhero costume, right? It's your cape, it's my armor, it's my power. And once I'm Anita, no one sees me, and if you thought I didn't have any self-doubt before, oh wait, she just is utterly confident. Like she just does and says exactly what she means and says in the moments, and she trusts herself not to second guess herself. And now that I love myself, I trust myself. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like that was a big part of it. I think it's one of the biggest things in life, truly, is that people don't realize every single time you do something to dishonor your true authentic self, you're breaking a little trust with yourself. You're saying, I care more about what those people think than what I think about myself. You know, why?
Right.
Like that for me was why I was so unhappy. Like I was never somebody, like I always say drag saved my life, but not from dying. That wasn't my path, but it was I was a square peg in a round hole my whole life. Oh. I had these golden handcuffs on. I got too successful at something and was too good at something that I really did not love. And I'm not alone in that story. Like so many people can relate to that story. For me, if the pandemic had not come along and shut me down like that, I would still be doing it. I wasn't strong enough. I can't even claim that, but now I am.
So once Anita was born, did you know that you wanted to figure out a way to make a living or your career or go down that kind of professional drag queen path?
Yeah, well, that was the scariest time of my life because I was running out of money. Like I had saved up quite a bit and I bought it through my best years. I bought some investment properties and I was just having to sell everything and liquidate everything. And so it was really a scary chapter. And I started a podcast studio and I was trying to kind of get back into what I was doing. But then once I did the queer focused video podcast series myself that I hosted, I knew that I needed to work in the space, the queer space. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. But then once that passion for drag took over, that was it. I was like, how do I follow RuPaul's footsteps? Like I knew I wasn't young enough to go the show route and try to audition for the show and all that. Also, I mean, my hat is off to these girls. Like I am not that talented when it comes to the traditional drag things, like makeup, fashion, hair, all that stuff. I put it all together, but I'm not really that independently talented at it. So I would be better off following in Ru's footsteps as what I call a dragapreneur. As I have learned in life through my other career, you got to spark, you got to stand out, right? You have to, you know, everybody wants to be an entertainment reporter. Everybody wants to work for CNN. Everybody wants to be a entertainer that makes a living doing their art form. These are not easy things to accomplish. So how I was going to do it was going to have to be as unique, I thought, as the art form itself. And so the passion for drag initially took me down a road of retail. I wanted to give Dragonfly, I wanted to give other people the feeling that I had when Rachel turned me around in that chair, that fateful day, that April Fool's Day, 2021.
Oh my gosh, that's the day we bought our hotel. April 1st,
Fool's Day, 2021. That was a big day for both of us. Life-changing.
Life-changing day.
Remind me the name of the hotel again?
Old Ranch Inn.
Old Ranch Inn. Is it over there, like in the historic tennis club?
The tennis club, yeah.
Oh.
It's right across from Amikasa.
Oh, okay.
You're very close.
Sorry.
When did Dragonfly come to you, and what did that mean to you at the time?
Okay. So I'm in Palm Springs now. George, my partner, who is the business brains of the two of us.
It's good to have one. Mine is too.
Thank Jesus. I would not be able to do any of this without him. He basically said, you're not going to be able to do this. Like, there's not enough people in these surveys and things we were doing that would, like, market research showed us there wasn't enough people to come to a place to get drag put on them.
So you were trying to do
And it was
a
too
drag
much overhead,
experience.
and it was retail. It was a whole thing. I went to Vegas. I went to market. I spent all these years. I spent 4 years down. It was 2020 when I stopped getting paid, and it was 2024 the first time I got more money coming in. So for 4 full years, I kind of went through this whole journey. 2 of those, the last 18 months of it, here in Palm Springs.
So were you trying to give people drag experiences? Is that what it was?
Right. So I was trying to let people feel that feeling of stepping into this art form themselves. But in order for it to work, I had to create a feeder business. And it just turns out, after what dumb luck, that a journalist, a television broadcast journalist, and a sightseeing tour guide have a very similar set of skills. It's about storytelling. It's about going out and getting the best juice and coming back, putting it together in a way that your audience responds to and letting them decide. And that's exactly what once I did that, and I saw Bella DeBall coming down on a double-decker bus during Modernism Week, it was like, there's a drag queen. I wanted a ticket to that show. Modernism, if you don't know, is here in Palm Springs every February, big celebration of all things mid-century modern. And they have these double-decker tour buses. And some of them are hosted, well, one of them is hosted by a drag queen. And I could not get a ticket. I tried to call and do all my magic, and I could not get a ticket. And so I said, this world needs more drag queen hosted sightseeing tours. And just like that, it was February 10th, 2024.
There's a big difference between having an idea, drag queen tour guide, and creating a business around it.
Yeah, no kidding.
What was that process like?
Well, the good news is I am a creator / dreamer with a stupid and misplaced amount of confidence in his ability to get things done. If I knew what I was going to be up against, I probably would never have done it. I would have just done it very differently. I would have started off with like a Sprinter van and a cute costume and built up the idea first, but I've just always been someone who, like, I saw this vision in my head and I had to create it. And then, thanks to AI, all the visions in my head could be put on paper, and then that's what took off like wildfire. That I have never had in my career, and that I am now going to be able to produce so much more in such a shorter amount of time. So I'm a big fan of AI, at least for what I do.
So how did you use AI to create or fulfill your vision?
Well, I was like, I need an elevated vehicle experience that is going to, turn the city on its head. Something that's neighborhood friendly. Double-decker buses were not going to work for year-round tours for many reasons in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
But once I decided I wanted to lean into old Hollywood themes, I said, well, what would it look like if we put, and AI, you can put anything in there. Like, I felt like Dolly. I was like, melt a clock. And so I said, put a movie theater inside a shuttle bus. And what AI popped out was the first time I saw the dragonfly. I have an image for you for that. In my opening, it's in my pitch deck.
So what's remarkable about your tour bus is it's got a huge window on the side, and it's got stadium seating like a movie theater, and 2 rows of seating, so everyone's looking out the window all at the same time.
That's right.
And that's remarkable because you're not having to move your head back and forth. It's always a captivated view. It's a focused audience. I thought it was brilliant the first time I saw it. So you told AI to put a movie theater in a tour bus, and that's what it came up with?
No, it didn't come up with the exact thing. You'll see. It's a version of it. Then I had to see if it was possible, like engineering wise. Like I contacted vehicle fabricators to see what kind of steel would be required and the engineering there. And I learned a ton about vehicle fabrication. And that was like the first thing that I did was I was like, if this isn't possible, like I just wanted to know if that was possible. And then there is a vehicle in New York City. There's an experience there called NYC The Ride. Have you heard of it? It's this gigantic version of what we do. They have like a Taylor Swift sized tour bus that has 4 stadium rows. They're not separate seats, it's just bench rows, but they've taken out, and there's windows and the whole ceiling is glass, but they have this big support beam. And there's such a scope that they can have that big support beam. So there was differences, but I knew that at least people would sit sideways on a tourism vehicle, because I know people would ride a boat or, there's lots of things you actually sit sideways on, shuttle buses.
So you worked with a fabricator to create this new kind of van or new
Yeah.
kind of bus.
Yeah, I worked with the fabricator to make sure that it was possible, and then we put the design in place. And then from June 15th to September 15th, we had exactly 90 days to build it, because I had put this very hard deadline that we were going to debut the vehicle at the Gay Pride Parade, November 3rd. And I knew I needed at least 6 weeks to test all my content, test the route, prove that the stuff I was producing over here was going to work with this kind of vehicle over here, that wasn't going to make people sick. There's so many things.
Because you're a news producer.
Exactly.
Here we go, the eyelashes.
Anita's about to arrive.
At least on one side.
Exactly. She's halfway here. You know, during my journey and the hard period, prior to the epiphany that I had and where I found myself and this all happened, I was struggling. It was the darkest period of my life. I'd never experienced such a deep low. And your head goes to all these crazy places and all these things. But somewhere in all of that, there was this like little baby drag queen was waiting to be born, waiting to show what art can do if you get out of your own way, if you're fearless. You know, to a degree, you have to be fearless to do this because so many people judge it. I don't see it that way at all anymore, though, at all. Like, I don't see the judge. All I see, like when I'm like my life right now, and mind you, if you've ever read the 5 love languages, mine is words of affirmation. Like, I love credit, verbal credit. And I mean, every single time I leave a show, like 13 people are just like, oh, they're so touched by what I've done. And, you know, the show has taken on this, and you hear I call it a show. It's a sightseeing tour.
It is a show, though.
But it is a show. And it's taken on its own shape now with this, especially the way I do my show. You know, all drag queens that are, I mean, I only have 2 working here right now besides me, but they both, you know, we all do the show a little differently. It's the same main sightseeing excursion, but I want people to come and see how different drag queens sort of tell their story and interpret this art form. And I think that our little roving stage gives people a chance to do that. And we have a lot of customers who've been back multiple times, to see other people do it. So,
I mean, I think it is amazing. It's very well produced. That was my first experience when we did it. I'm like, oh, I can tell a news producer did this, because it's like you pull up to the Dinah Shore house, there's a video to accompany it. There's all this supplemental video to actually make the experience more intense, more interesting, and it's really, really, really good. I've been talking it up ever since we did it. And you're doing a new tour for the summer, right?
That's right. P.S. Meet Me After Dark. Our daytime show is called P.S. I Need It All. It's a play on my name, Anita Doll, of course. But it's also because once I moved to Palm Springs and I realized what all it had to offer, I was like, oh, yes, I do need it all. Thank you very much. I need that surf club. I need Catino. I need the aerial tram and the windmills and the Walk of Stars and Mount San Jacinto and the 4 Sacred Canyons and all the beautiful acceptance and belonging and diversity that Palm Springs has to offer. I need it all. And that's where that name came from.
You said on the tour that you wanted to make Palm Springs kind of a world-known destination for drag queens. And I mean, we certainly have lots of drag brunches and lots of drag shows and sort of things, but I feel like that you mean something else or something more by that.
When I say I want to make Palm Springs the drag capital of the world, what I mean by it is Palm Springs is a beacon for so many of us. Like, it is a light in a very dark world where you get to be yourself, accepted for who you are. You know, you see the craziest things because people are being authentic and people express themselves in crazy ways. And anyways, Palm Springs is just this place that could, because it's already has a deep passion for the art form and a big history with it. There's tons of drag queens here, some really world famous ones even, like Trixie and Bianca. And now that we're partnered with the Hyatt, which is this premier location downtown, just begging for like a little zhuzh, we say, a little makeover. So why not make it over into an epicenter of drag culture? And yes, the Dollhouse, the Tea Garden, and the Flight Club are all on the way, darling.
Wait, say those again?
The Dollhouse, well, the Tea Garden is the entry point. That's how we let our hotel partners put their liquor license to use. The Tea Garden, the Dollhouse, and the Flight Club. The Dollhouse is my sort of like remember my old idea to have a retail space where people could put on drag? Well, now that we need a permanent boarding and disembarking location, right? And we're partnered up with this hotel, and we're going to use a certain amount of their real estate to create this very fanciful, whimsical boarding and disembarking experience that includes getting ready with me. Like what we're doing right now, I'm going to do on a slightly elevated stage with Sandra. We'll talk people through any questions they have. There's glam pop-up stations all around the room. Of course, the world's first and most famous Build-A-Bitch workshop. Copyright pending. Yes, and it's what you think. If you don't want to drag yourself up with a shake and go wig for your tour or some stickers for your face, why not build a toy for your friend or daughter or a drag persona for yourself by building your own drag queen doll? Anyways, and then the flight club, a flight, if you don't know, is what a group of dragonflies is called, like a herd of cattle or whatever, a gaggle of gays. A flight of dragonflies.
A flight of dragonflies.
And I believe there's a whole population of men and women and people between and beyond out there that want to gender play, that want to cross-dress, that just don't have access or resource to it. But in Palm Springs, California, they can make a private appointment for the flight club, and in the most protected, safe, and supportive way, gender play, cross-dress. And I'm going to give them a private place to do that behind the dollhouse.
So you take the original idea and bring it back. And I always do that too. I have like a list of ideas. I'm like, I don't know when this is going to come about or how it's going to come about, but it'll come about at the right moment.
You are working magic right now. So sorry. Thank you, Jason.
No.
But I just have to give a shout out to Sandra. I am just like, I'm bouncing all over the place. And she is just still making magic happen over here. Anita's half here, darling.
Almost.
Almost.
The other eyelash is coming. You're a full-on CEO.
That's right. Thanks, Rue. That's one of her words. Dragonpreneur is my word, though. I'm putting that out there. But you know what? Rue's done such a good job of inventing all this fabulous language that people are familiar with. I'm fully standing on her shoulders. Like, never will you hear me badmouth RuPaul or a big, like, if not for RuPaul, I would not be doing what I'm doing. And I honor this art form. Rue is the catalyst, but I now researched it, and it goes back hundreds and hundreds of years. And I'm so proud to be like one member of this artistic community now. It's a little ironic to say that while I'm having my makeup put on by someone else, and some people consider that to be the art form. For the record, I did teach myself how to put on my own makeup. Many of the beats that you'll see of me on social media and all over Dragonfly is makeup I've done. I only do it when she calls out. And I hate that because, frankly, I'm just slammed. And when I do my own makeup, I can do it, but it stresses me out. Especially if I'm looking at 2, 3, 4 shows that day. The last thing I want to be is all up in my head as I start the day. So I definitely get a lot of help.
So you debuted the tour bus on Pride weekend. How did that go?
Well, honestly, I guess if I'm being super honest, in some ways it was one of the best days of my life. When you look at me and that look that I paid so much money for, but it was worth it. I was the princess that I always wanted to be, and I was celebrating this incredible business that I had launched, and people were getting it. Like, I didn't do all this because I didn't think it was going to be successful. I thought it was going to be successful. I don't know how successful, but they it was very, very well received. It was like, what is that? But people were very curious about it. And we did not do a good job. Like I said, we made a lot of mistakes along the way. Don't I read my wig cap down a little? No, we made some mistakes. One of them was the way I was trying to market it in the beginning. I was trying to be more like mysterious and stuff. And we already had a concept that was complicated. I didn't need to be mysterious. I needed to be like, we are a drag queen hosted sightseeing tour bus coming to Palm Springs. This is coming to, I should have just been much more direct. So sorry to anybody out there who I offended with my marketing choices. Anyway, so it did not go really well right at the beginning. The fun, the fabulous, and the feelings were there because I was starting a new business. But I thought we were going to sell out because 65,000 people were at that parade, and I thought they'd be curious enough to scan the QR code and buy some tickets. And it did not happen. We didn't sell those tickets. We only had like 5 seats sold. November 8th was the first time we had a paying show, and by Thanksgiving we were selling out. And then we hired our next drag queen, and by February 1st, we were up to 16 shows a weekend. We were open through modernism, and then we've never looked back. All through season, we were able to sell out 16 shows a weekend.
What I think is interesting is that it is very visible, the way the bus is with the side window and then just the colors and everything. It's very noticeable, and you definitely get a lot of attention from it.
Thank you. It's very intentional.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing I learned about interviewing all those artists all those years. Like, sitting down with Soderbergh, sitting down with all these incredible filmmakers. He's one of my heroes, And It's like, just know why you're doing things. And so like when you look at the wrap on the vehicle, it is beautiful. Thank you for saying that. But it's also meaningful. Like if it's a day to night it's a celebration of Palm Springs. It is this the colors are all meant to remind you of the sunshine, sunset, and sky, and that feeling of that Palm Springs give you, that colorful feeling it gives you, that mid-century feeling. But then also all of these little pop-out silhouettes of the most biggest iconic things among the windmills and the churches and the different skyline. But yeah, the feeling on initially was panic when I first started. Like,
Panic?
Yeah, because no one bought tickets, and I was like, oh my God. I told my family, if this is not successful, I hope you like this vehicle. We are going to be living in it. Like, I'm not a young drag queen trying to make it, you know, like I'm a middle-aged person with a mortgage, and I had a lot on the line. And when those tickets didn't sell initially, I did have a moment where this was the scariest thing I've ever done. Mind you, it's all coupled too with this new identity and appreciation for myself. And so I'm thinking, God, if this doesn't work, does this mean like, am I supposed to drop to my knees and you know, this is the way your brain tricks you when you have all this bad wiring as a kid. Anyway, it turned out all that was wrong.
Yeah, of course. Anytime you, either you're going to have a great success, or it's going to be as successful as you wanted, or it starts off great and doesn't, you know, then kind of goes down. So you definitely have ups and downs with any new business. So how did you get through that? Just get through it?
Oh, it was a viral video. So this guy called Dining with the Davids did this little video. I was saying yes to everybody.
Davids, yeah.
Anybody who asked to come on the show, I was saying yes, because I just wanted people. And they said, can we come film? And I was like, absolutely. And they have this local food blog where it's a really clever thing where they take these guys called the taste buds to a restaurant, order everything on the menu, film it all, vote on their favorites, and then do a little video about it on YouTube. Well, they said they want to do our show. And I'm like, well, we're not food, but sure, do a story. That story, they put it out, and within one day, it had 50,000 views. Now, I don't know how many millions of people have seen it. And ever since then, we've not any problem with ticket sales. And then once we started rolling around town, George, my partner, he has all these choices that you can choose. Why did you buy our ticket? Did you hear about it on social media? Did you see the vehicle? Did you hear about word of mouth? And our word of mouth is number one. Then it goes to saw the vehicle go by. But in the beginning, that wasn't it. In the beginning, it was all that viral video.
So when we were on the tour too, it was fascinating the response the bus gets from the people on the street.
I know.
Was that a surprise?
Yes, that's the magic. I call that the magic sauce, the gift with purchase. So all the planning, everything that I was thinking through, the scripting, the costumes, the storytelling, the finding the best nuggets in Palm Springs, the way the sites would be seen, all of that I was thinking about. But what I never, ever thought about was, what was it going to be like for people on the street, on the sidewalk, walking by to see us? This crazy looking vehicle coming down. And then what I really hadn't thought about was when they do react, what it was going to feel like to the people on board. And that turns out to be the magic sauce. Like, I've had to change the whole show because I can't talk during the main, like when there's people outside, because it's just too fun to laugh and play and shoot hearts. It's the joy. It is the magic, not just because of how fun it is, but because of what we're doing in that moment. We're spreading joy that's contagious from our joy-making machine in this art form of drag, which is a joyful art form. So it's just all about joy. It's when Kamala came out with that as joy, remember when she was using that? I was like, God, that is so true. We do need more joy in this world.
It really is true, because as soon as especially once you turn down Palm Canyon, you can start going down Palm Canyon, because all the people at the restaurants and walking by, they all want to wave, and then they see you and react to you, and it is a very fun experience driving through Palm Springs.
It is. Thank you. I'm so glad that you got to do it before we did this. I am too.
Thank you so much. Were you thinking about doing another bus, or that's just...
I am, okay. And people always ask that. That would be the next logical thing to do, probably. But it's so much work with the bus.
Well, it's a huge expense.
It is. It's a big. I mean, it's a surprising amount of moving parts that makes all that happen. But now that we know how to do it, I don't take that for granted at all. Yeah, we definitely. But my dream is not necessarily to run a fleet of these in Palm Springs, or to even own a fleet around the country. My dream is to empower other people with this business model so they can do it. But I would love, I'd love for every major U.S. city, and some minor ones like Provincetown and Key West, to have a drag queen rolling around in a glass box all over their city. That would do such good things. It would start so many conversations, and people would be forced to challenge their beliefs more and more, to the point where the undeniable voluminous left and middle. The moderate and the left is the bigger part of the population. It just is. But statistically, there are more of us. We're just not as loud and squeaky right now. We don't want to be loud and squeaky. I want to be loud and full of love. That kind that invites people who are still moderate over to the point where we are using this art form to change the world. And the Palm Springs is a big part of that. Yes, I have grandiose dreams now. Also, having a front row seat to celebrity for 25 years and seeing how it works and how to manage that feeling and those responsibilities, like I'm really good at that. Like I can do that for Anita. But I could never do it for me. But for this little star that I'm building, she is, and I proudly say this, like it is my goal to be featured on 60 Minutes by the fall of 2026. That's when we're going to be ready, I think, for a national news story of that level.
But running your own business is very different than working for someone else.
Yes, it is.
And what are the challenges that you've run into that, and what advice would you give to someone else?
Well, I took it in baby steps because I haven't worked for the man since 2014. I started my own business and had this 8 years to sort of make all my mistakes with my first business before starting Dragonfly. And the biggest thing I learned was I can't do everything myself. And I can't even, and to try to do that is a huge mistake. And now I don't. Now I've hired out everything from payroll and all the things that drive me crazy before.
It really is
and
true.
As a result, I'm producing my whole second show, like a whole season before we were supposed to do this. Like we're early on everything. None of this is supposed to be happening yet. And it's like, it's a gift and it's a blessing, but it's a juggernaut and I'm trying to keep up.
So what, are you saying that do what you're good at and hire people to do the parts you're not good at?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
There's
some
advice.
things you can't get out of. Like you have to take certain tax meetings and you have to be present for certain things.
And you have to know what's going on in your business.
Yes. You know what I say all the time at the house? Like Dolly Parton is not organizing her receipts. I know people, but that is what I feel like. I'm like, I'm too busy. Like I need help. This is what I was meant to do. Like I have no doubts. And I always wondered what it would feel like to I used to sit across from these people and interview them and they were just like having pinch me moment lives. And now I can honestly say that's my situation. By the way, this moment is when it all comes together. I love the under eye shadow bit of it.
And the lip is the last thing?
Uh-huh.
The lip is...
And then I start getting ready. And then pads and all that stuff. People ask how long it takes. It's about, all in for me, about 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Oh my gosh. What did you learn about the show and how did it evolve? Because I thought it was very well produced. I thought it was perfectly timed and
Thank you.
Just always entertaining.
I know, that's
it was an hour and a half and I felt like we were there for like 20 minutes.
I like right now. Huh.
And actually the other thing is my intention was to take more pictures and video of the thing, and I was so interested in it that I took one picture.
Thank you. That is a big compliment. I've heard that before. I've tried to actually anticipate that and give people more photo op moments. Sorry, that's the water line. Ladies, everybody out there that knows what your lower eyelid water line is, I was just having mine darkened. Thank you. The biggest changes is I've just really gotten confident as a drag queen and as a tour guide and using my talents in this new way. And the drag queens I've hired are really, really talented, like more talented than me. So that's another way the show's evolved. But the show itself, like, there's road closures, there's detours, there's all kinds of reasons why we have to do a number of different things on Journey. It really is just about taking everybody out and giving them a spectacular 90-minute experience, all dazzling through Palm Springs, and trying not to have too set a plan while also keeping to a very set plan. Does that make sense?
It's like producing a newscast.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So many of my references and so many of my skills are wrapped around a career in broadcast media and broadcast news that you'll see a lot of overlap. Like, It doesn't surprise me that, and almost any time a journalist is on board, especially female news anchors with big egos, you know the type. They have all the notes for me at the end. I just love it. I'm like, and then every now and then I say something that would have made my bosses at CNN scratch like nails on the chalkboard. Like everything I've said today is a total fact, I promise, unless I didn't check. And then, like, this is entertainment, baby. Like, you want to tell me I did something wrong? Great, thank you. I did something wrong.
It actually was one of the first tours that I've done where I at some point usually I'm always like, I don't think that's true. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you definitely had all of your checked.
And along the, thank you for that. It is true. I did, I applied all of my skills as a journalist, but I did make mistakes. Like I pronounced one Richard Neutra, the very famous modernist architect, Richard Neutra. If you want to know, I was corrected by the modernism guys. Thanks, guys. But I don't care.
What is this?
Setting spray.
Glue?
Basically. She's anticipating me being in lights all day and potentially sweating.
Is this what keeps you from running when you sweat?
It's basically like hairspray for your face. Oh, she's going to look good on camera. Yes, 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 darling. Pinks, I love it. Thank you.
All right, that was JD and Anita. How'd you like the transformation? Pretty cool, right? That was fun. Wish them all the best and luck. It's Drag and Fly Tours, not Dragonfly. I'll put the link in the show notes. In the next episode, the tables get turned on me. My friend, CBS correspondent David Begnaud, is going to interview me about my life after news. So it's, he did not let me off easy. So it's a good interview. I think you'll enjoy it. And I get to be the vulnerable one for a change. Anyway, in the meantime, if you like the show, please subscribe, give us good ratings. It matters. You can watch us on YouTube at Life After News. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Jason Ball and at Life After News Pod. If you're interested more in Palm Springs, you can check out our newsletter, Desert Dispatch, and Old Ranch Inn. Those links will also be in the show notes. As always, if you like the show, share with a friend. See you next time.